is going to be a little bit different to some of those that you've already heard. Because the summit is aimed at demand of digitisation within the packaging industry, we are going to discuss the combination of digital and analogue, and we must accept that very few packaging converters have 100% digital productivity. So those converters are using traditional methods, and they will need to have analogue and digital coexisting for still some time. So we're going to discuss how technology can help aid the growth of digital output on those devices. I've got a colleague here from Hybrid Solutions. So I'm Jeremy Spencer from Global Graphics. I'm Vice President of Business Development. We provide technology for building blocks for RIP and workflow manufacturers, machine manufacturers such as HP, Durst, Domino, Ricoh, and we're most famous for our Harlequin RIP and our PrintFlat technology, which has been recently patented. So Paul joins me from Hybrid.
Thank you. So my name's Paul Bates. I'm the UK Sales Manager and Global Account Manager for Hybrid Software. And probably you might be sick of hearing about Hybrid Software today, because quite a number of people have mentioned it beforehand, so they're all doing a good job for me. So I don't want to sound like it's the sales pitch, but if you do want to order a copy, please give me a call. But for those who don't know about Hybrid, we've already seen a little bit. So we have two products really in our range. We have our PDF editor, which is PAX, which you've already heard about. PAX is really, think of it as Adobe Illustrator on steroids. So it's designed for packaging. It's a PDF editor. It doesn't convert files. It opens a PDF. It makes the PDF printable, whether it's conventional packaging, Flexo, Litho, or whether it's digital. But working with our friends at Global Graphics, we have brought a little sister out to PAX, a cut-down version of it, where we've taken some of the technology away for Flexo to make it work for the digitally printed market, because we are aware that some people don't need all the tools that's in there. So Steps is also part of the PAX family now, which is out there and can be shipped with some of the products that come from Global Graphics. But really today, we're going to talk about this fella. This is Cloudflow. This is our workflow integration. And you know, I've sat here today watching the presentations, and it's great to see people like Thorsten talk about automation and integrating, because integration for me is the key of Cloudflow. All our customers through the pandemic benefited with the likes of Cloudflow because it's a web browser-based application, meaning all the operators could work from home. So it just makes life easy for them. But because it's an all-in-one system with an API linking to MIS systems like Thorsten, we needed to make sure that we had a RIP. And at Hybrid, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. And the last thing the world wanted was another RIP core out there. So we knew basically that the Harlequin was the market leader. And so that's why we ended up partnering with Global Graphics and getting to where we are today, really, which is, you know, quite a journey. But the main issue about Cloudflow, it isn't a pre-press system. It is an all-encompassing system for the workflow. Automation, everyone thinks about it to reduce costs, which is true, it does. It also covers the fact, as Steve Lakin was mentioning earlier, about skills. Skills aren't there. Automation helps. If people are off with illnesses or you can't get staff, if you've got an automated system, it doesn't go on holiday. It's there working all the time. But it is important that it's open as well. That's the main thing, and we'll mention that a few times. But Cloudflow and its RIP are crucial, and that really is our main thing. But working with these guys, what we've also done is we've innovated. We've come up with solutions. So a few people have talked about VDP already, which is great, because VDP for digital is the game changer. More and more we're seeing VDP come into the market. what we found though is customers might use VDP once a month, not every working day of the week. So to ask them to buy software or burden their press with creating all the different artwork variants to print, to us seemed wrong. So we've just launched a VDP farm. So it's a cloud-based solution where people subscribe to it. You upload your file with your CSV file, and all the artworks stepped up, ready to print, come back down into your inbox or directly onto your print digital press. It's that kind of innovation that working with partners has allowed us really to make quite a difference in the market, which is why you're probably hearing so much about hybrid software. As far as customers, here's a few customers we have. These are just local, UK-based customers. Some are artwork agencies, some are trade shops, some are small little label printers. It's very varied, and I think it shows that people are open to solutions that are out there that are very open and easy to adopt and implement. Okay.
Paul, you were going to talk about sustainability and waste reduction.
Yes, I was. A good point. Thank you. Sustainability and waste is clearly a hot potato at the moment for obvious reasons. But software is key to this, because we saw a great presentation on carbon footprints. And you look at waste, but what about the waste that never leaves the factory? What about the jobs that are printed wrong? Software is the enabler to catch that, to stop that. And for me, that is absolutely crucial. That is the easiest tick to say, well, if we can put workflows in place, online artwork approval systems to check the job, make sure everybody's signed off on it before it goes. Don't use Acrobat, because you don't know what the operator's really seeing in Acrobat. Use a actually professional packaging viewer, and that's where our system comes in. And it will not allow it to go forward until all the right stakeholders have signed it off, meaning that you don't waste so much. Any waste that can be saved, and of course the cost of waste in the factory is multiple, because not only have you got the material cost, you might have to put an extra shift on to pull the job back into the time frame that you got to ship it. So there's all kinds of implications for getting jobs wrong. So if people want to reduce their carbon footprint, and I would say this because I'm in software, but software is a way to do that and to handle it. Reduce the number of touch points for operators, automate what you can. And as people were saying earlier, machines do things better than humans do. Let them do it. Let the humans do the things they do better than machines. Don't bog them down with administration. So for instance, people have put an order into Tharston, say a barcode number. Nobody in a studio should ever type that number in. That number should automatically come into the artwork via a workflow. It's that simple kind of thing, because they're the things that people get wrong, the simple jobs.
Paul, so we've been working together as companies since 2013.
Yep.
I guess, like many here, you've seen the increasing adoption of digital printing in your customer base. Could you kind of elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, through the pandemic, digital printing has continued to soar. We've always seen the growth gradually over the years, but I think when the pandemic hit, partly because of uncertainty, so the market didn't know what was around the corner, what was happening next, when the lockdowns were going to end. So the the brands started placing smaller orders, more frequently, but smaller orders. And that meant that it went into digital really, really well. And we saw a great uptake in digital. Most of our customers, as Jeremy was saying, they're not, I'm struggling to think of one printer who is just a digital printer. Most of them have both. And they have both technologies. They choose where the actual device, where the job is printed and how it's printed. Yeah. And it's digital is crucial for these guys. And when we hear about the likes of Zara and Bob's printing 100 meters a minute, you can see it's just going to keep eroding away at that analog work. But what we're seeing is digital is here. It's only going to increase, and already most of our customers are at full capacity on their digital presses, and they are migrating more and more work from Flexo and Litho into digital.
Thanks, Paul. And compliance, what about compliance and open standards? You know, how does hybrid software able to enable the converter to work with those types of technologies?
Open standards and standardization is crucial. There are some people out there with proprietary systems. They work, but they slow you down. They don't give you the agility to move and change your market trends. So we make a point of saying everything we do is PDF based. Everything that we do is XML or JDF communication with systems like Tharstons or any MIS system. So for us, it's crucial that we've got to work with that, hence why we went with what we perceive as the best PDF RIP on the market.
Yeah. With PDF being so important to the standards and clients, why did hybrid software select Harlequin RIP as the technology?
So I guess I've already said that, but we knew the Harlequin was the fastest RIP out there. We also knew that they will be very reactive to things we wanted to do, developments we needed to make. Because we're only in packaging. We don't do commercial print. We don't do any other markets. If it's not packaging orientated, we're not in that market. So it's very niche for us. But we do know what we want from our partners and suppliers. So we picked the Harlequin because of its absolute speed. Also, its market acceptance. Nobody's going to kick off because they've got a Harlequin RIP. They'll be quite comfortable with that fact. But the other thing is that we also needed the speed and performance because we could see the VDP market expanding and exploding, and we needed a RIP that could handle the processing of the VDP files we're throwing at it, and that's.
Is it true to say, Paul, that the traditional analog established print technologies are using similar RIP technologies to output, where they're going to analog as well as digital devices?
That always helps us. If we go along to somebody and they've got one of your DFEs, they know they've got a Harlequin RIP embedded inside it. So we rock up and say, okay, we're going to go with Cloudflow, and the RIP that we're going to drive your CTP system with is the same RIP as you've got in your press. And although one of the other speakers was saying, matching analog and digital is a nightmare. It's very difficult to do. But we have to make sure that we tick all the boxes to make sure the content, the colours are as close as we can get. And if you've got the same RIP core, you know the content isn't going to change. No fonts are going to move. There's going to be no re-rastering of any elements in it in a different way. It's the same core technology.
So choosing the right technology partner, provider, is a real strategic, position when you're thinking about devices and where you should be going with your analog versus digital technology, you would say. How's it been working with Global Graphics?
Well, it's good, otherwise you probably won't take me home later. But it has gone. It's gone really well. Partly because as our customers, we have a phrase, a hybrid, which is listen to your customer, listen to the voice of the customer. So they tell us what they need and where they want to go. So we have to have a partner that we can sit down with and say, we're going to push you now because we want this technology. We've talked about matching digital and Flexo. It's difficult, but there's new Flexo algorithms we have that close the gap slightly. We're chasing digital. The quality of Flexo is not where digital is. Digital's higher up. So we need to get Flexo up higher. And, working with you guys, making sure that the RIP has that technology, those RIPs, the screening algorithms, we work closely. But it's gone further than we initially thought, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we've been working together since 2013, and the companies were two separate organisations at that point. But since then, the growth of the partnership and the strategic partnership has been so kind of well orchestrated, if you like, that we actually, Global Graphics PLC, acquired Hybrid Software in December 2020. We've then since, only a couple of weeks ago, rebranded the entire company Hybrid Software Group. And hot off the press last week, Global Graphics acquired ColourLogic technology. So I think from what Paul's saying, if you wanted to look at digitizing or moving output to digital devices, you need the right technology partner. Consider hybrid technology one of those partners. But if you wanted something that was more customized, Global Graphics Software Limited is the company to be working with.
Thank you.